Hello everyone, this is New Jersey Joe, and I thought it would be a little bit interesting. I think a lot of people write. They write letters, they write stories, they write poetry, etc., etc. So I've been a professional writer for almost all my life. I majored in journalism and wrote for some newspapers and write magazine articles, written a couple of books and that sort of thing, and helped other people. I've been a ghostwriter on a bunch of stuff and that sort of thing. But I wanted to give you just a quick, not a tutorial, but a couple of tips that I use when I write. What I tell most writers that are starting out, even writers that have been around for a while, you know, we all like to share our tips and our techniques. It's like golf. You know, I play golf, and you can always learn, even from somebody that is at a different level than you are. It's always fun to talk about tips and techniques and what works and what doesn't. So anyway, writing. Here's a couple of tips that I'd like to present to you. First of all, when you write something to somebody. You know, this isn't about you getting your jollies off and writing to make yourself happy, although sometimes if you write poetry it is. But have somebody in mind, have a reader in mind. You know what I like to do? I like to write as though I'm writing to my mum, you know, and I say, all right, Mum, here's what's going on, and here's how it works, and here's what he said, and here's what it's all about, you know. Then I got a clear idea of who I'm writing to, and most of the time if you write to your mum, it's as though you're writing to someone who probably doesn't completely understand all the technicalities. I'm not saying my mum's not intelligent, she was a very intelligent person, but she doesn't know anything, for example, about industrial engineering, for example, and I actually had to write an article about industrial engineering at one time, but I had to write it to the layperson, so I pretended as though I was writing to my mum, and it worked out pretty well, I think. A second tip I'd give you is write hot, edit cold. Write hot, write when you're hot, and edit when you're cold. What I do when I interview people, I really listen to what they have to say. I don't take a lot of notes, actually. Sometimes I do. If it's very technical, I write a lot of stuff down. But I try to really listen, and then after I've talked to them, I sit down at my computer and I write what I remember. But most importantly, I write what turned me on about that conversation. Because I figure, you know, if it's interesting to me, it's going to be interesting to somebody else, and my passion will show through. So if I'm writing something about somebody, and I get all excited about some aspect of the story, and I get to my computer and I get all passionate about it and write it, great, okay? So I've written it. I probably would be tempted to go in and start editing, you know, but don't. I've written it hot. Now I'm going to edit code, and what that means is you put it away for a while. Put it away for as long as you possibly can. Now if you're on deadline like I am a lot of times, you know, you might only put it away for 15 minutes, you know. You might take a walk around the block and then come back and finish her off, you know, and edit it cold. So what I do is I wait a week, or wait a couple of days, take it out, look at it fresh, I see it with fresh eyes, and then I edit it cold, and it gives me a little bit more objectivity to my writing. Here's another tip that I think is useful, especially if it's a particularly long article or a speech or something like that. Sometimes I have a difficult time with organizing the story. How does it get organized, you know? So I just, like I said, I write hot, I edit cold, I write the whole thing up, and then I take each paragraph and I take a pair of scissors and I cut off each paragraph like that, throw them up in the air, sit down on the floor and take the paragraphs, just pull one out, put it on the floor, and say, okay, that's a paragraph. Then I pull out another paragraph that I've cut out and say, okay, where does that go? Does that go before this paragraph or after that paragraph? And it's a little like a puzzle. So I've taken all these little pieces of paper here, and then I scotch tape them all together, and that's how I organize my story. And sometimes I realize that some paragraphs don't make any sense at all, and they need to be just simply cut out, and they don't make any sense. Let's see, the only other thing that I would say is I see a lot of writers that change voices and change styles in the middle of in the middle of a story, in the middle of a piece of writing and that sort of thing. Let a friend or let somebody read it, you know. I mean, I'm lucky enough to have an editor at my publisher's place in New York City that looks at my stuff, and it gets a lot of great, Noel gives me a lot of great feedback on my writing. But, you know, we all don't have that. So, you know, let your mom read it and give you some feedback, you know. Let somebody, don't take pride of authorship too seriously. Let other people look at your stuff. Because after all, that's who you're writing for. You're writing for the other people. Unless, of course, it's poetry. So that's my tips on writing. Hope that's been helpful. And this is New Jersey Joe signing off. Bye-bye.